It was dark. Yen still wasn't at home. Taehyung walked slowly into the room since he was not permitted to leave. When the door opened to show Yen, he glanced at it and panicked ran to her. Where had you been? It's 1 o'clock in the morning. Do you realize how worried I was? She pulled him away as he questioned her while grasping her shoulders. You need not be concerned. I have not harmed your mistress or your family. Her words caused his heart to race. Why Yen, be quiet? How many times must I clarify that it isn't Yen? She halted just before entering the restroom. Oh yeah. How dare you escape from here? He shivered in horror as she stared right into his eyes. She dragged him to the edge of the bed. Despite his attempts to reason with her by shaking his head, he attempted to speak. Why Yen? That Yen tied his hand with a lengthy shackle to the bed. She scoffed and then glanced at him. I thought about allowing you the freedom to go around this area. But you. This is what you get for attempting to run from this place. Stay here. You are not permitted to go. And I have a present for you, she stated. He was lying there on the chilly floor, finally letting his tears flow as she went into the bathroom without even looking back. He was unable to express what was going through his head. It hurts, it truly aches. But not physically. It hurts right through my heart.
The more I swim, the more I'm sinking. Take me to a world of silver, no more heartbreaks, tears, painkillers. Take me somewhere unfamiliar, bring me back to where we started.
While he sat there thinking about the punishment she would subject him to, it made him regret asking her about letting him go. Since he attempted to escape, it has been about 2 weeks. He had hoped that she would forget, but it doesn't appear that she will, considering how she stated that he is receiving punishment. When several guys began dragging him, he was lost in thought, wondering what she would do to him or his family. He was shivering as he sat there waiting for the TV to open and show him his family. The Yin he knew was never like this. She is someone else, and he doesn't know who she is. He just wants his family safe from her. They dragged him to this large room with a big TV in front and many seats, a cinema hall that was luxurious and private. Yin entered the hall wearing a long black frock with a deep V-line, showing her cleavage. Her legs were visible to her thigh. She was wearing these bright shiny heels that were shining in the dark room. Her long earrings were dangling as she kept on walking with Evan and her 2 personal guards behind her. She was having a red wine glass in her left hand as she kept on walking towards him, who couldn't see anything but her. His mind went blank the moment he saw her. He never knew he would see her like this, and she looks so beautiful like that. He felt his breath getting uneven as he looked at her licking his lips, and he came out of his trance when he heard her dark chuckle reverberating in the room, making him shiver. You are not here to see me, you are here to see how betrayal feels like, she said with a smirk, and he swore she looked so hot. Taking the seat beside him, she put one leg on the other, crossing them and giving him a display of her milky skin. When was the last time they got intimate? She never let him touch her after some stupid bimbo girl sent her pictures of her boyfriend naked in bed about 1 year and 5 months ago. But it's not the time. She's not letting him go. He can think about it later. His family is in danger right now. He looks at her, who was looking at him with a smirk. His eyes become teary. He misses her, the old her. Why Yin? He mumbled, which was barely heard, but she heard it because of how silent the room was. Dracia, she corrected him God knows how many times. But he kept on calling her that name that she hates now because that name reminds her of her selfless love and his selfish needs and ruthlessness. I know I'm sorry. Please don't do anything to them, he begged, but he had no idea how it pierced her heart again, as if it had been slashed. If he had already broken her, why did his words always break her a little more? Oh, her voice cracked as she blinked the tears. I see you care so much for your family and your mistress, don't you? She said with a smirk, hiding all her emotions, and Taehyung swears he saw the tears in her eyes before she hid them so perfectly. Then it will be fun to ruin them, she said darkly, then chuckled as she switched on the television. Taehyung's heartbeat accelerated. She won't do anything to his family, right? Maybe she will. He never knew her anyway. His eyes widen when he sees Lily going down the aisle. The video was recorded from the front. Why Yin, what is this? His voice trembled as he inquired. Oh, that's your mistress getting married after betraying you. Yin stood in front of Lily as she begged for her life and company. But to whom was she pleading? The Yin she knew has been replaced by a cruel mob that enjoys screaming. Why? She inquired of the woman seated on the floor on her level. Miss Lily, why would I forgive you? Lily started crying as she asked. Remember when you accused me of stealing? Lily shook her head and muttered an apology, but YN only grinned and dipped her hand into her purse. Yeah, stealing this disgusting trash you. My choice ain't that awful, she replied, disgustedly throwing the rings to the ground. Anyway, you have to choose between your family and your guy, who was my boyfriend, she stated with a chuckle. When you were little, didn't your mother warn you to avoid using things that aren't yours? Lily gave her a revolting look as she asked the question in a scornful manner. He is not an object. Rather, he is a human being with feelings, and if he were yours, he wouldn't have rushed me as soon as he saw me take it, proving that he was never really yours. She said YN slapped her in the face, forcing her to fall to the ground while holding her tummy to shield her child. YN took hold of her hair and peered into her eyes. Honey, I don't care if he has feelings or not. The people who betray me don't deserve to live quietly, and he did that. He has to pay for it. Anyways, your parents, or that betrayer who can't keep his dick in his trousers. Lily cried even more as she attempted to escape her hold, which was nearly ripping off her head, while she spoke with furious eyes. She smirked and said, also because you are so full of yourself, thinking you were the only one he fucked after being in a relationship with me for 4 years. I won't be shocked if there is a line of 10 females saying he made them pregnant. So you were just a whore for him, Lily Williams. You're lying, no. Although she wailed, Yin simply laughed. Sure, I am. A video of Taehyung fucking different ladies and then apologizing to YN was displayed, she said, making Lily sob uncontrollably. YN laughed as she stated, all right, Miss Lily, how do you feel? In a sarcastic tone, she asked. I'm still awaiting your response, she said this as she climbed up to her office desk. For the previous month, Lily had been working on a new project since she had been so worried about Taehyung that he had abruptly left without warning. But as soon as she saw Taehyung's housekeeper, YN entered her office without permission and sat down on the table she owned, put a gun to her forehead, and demanded that she choose between Taehyung and her parents. After she loved them all so deeply, how could she ever choose between them? However, when she showed him all she had, her heart was crushed, and the one thought that kept playing back in her head was, why? How did he play her? Was she really so useless? But on the other hand, this was karma for accusing someone of something they did not do and nearly wrecking their life. Should I simply kill your parents? She questioned as Lily viewed the screens, one of which showed Taehyung lying on the floor with his wrist bound to the couch and gazing up at the ceiling as if he were wondering something. But if she had looked closer, she would have seen that he was crying for the person who was torturing the two of them and taking her revenge so callously. And the other screen showed Lily's parents bound to a pole with a bomb attached to their bodies and a red light appearing on their forehead as if someone was ready to shoot them. "Leave my parents alone," she broke down in tears as she gave Taehyung one final glance as Yin grinned with joy. It's not like she would have killed Taehyung. She won't kill him until he begs for it. Good decision, Miss Williams. Taking out her phone, she grinned. "Evan, leave them and tell Martha to release Taehyung," she murmured, looking at Lily, who was crying. "And feed him something. I don't want him to die of hunger before my vengeance." She laughed as she looked at Lily, who cried uncontrollably and ended the connection. "Miss Lily, if you want your kid and your parents to be alive, never, I repeat, never, show your face to him again. Go with whomever your parents want you to marry." Lily's parents really want her to marry someone else since they never liked Taehyung, but she has been rejecting them because she loves him so much. She can't allow her to murder her kid, so now she has to do it for her parents and her child. Only if she knew, she would never let anything happen to the innocent soul inside her. She may be callous, but she isn't cruel enough to harm someone who hasn't even drawn a breath. "Oh, I have a present for you," Yin replied with a smile as she looked at Lily. Lily's perplexed expression quickly turned to fear as she realized that a freak like her was not likely to give her something pleasant, but rather something far worse. When YN noticed the horror in her eyes, he grinned even more. At the same time, the door thudded open to reveal cops. "You are being detained, Miss Lily, for taking papers from Darsh's office." Lily shook her head in disagreement as the officer's words caused her eyes to widen. "That's not true, no," she screamed, making YN laugh. 14 December, YN remarked, drawing all eyes to her. She giggled and moved closer to the person who was staring at her with alarm. She moved further closer to the woman, who was trembling and crying, and said, 4 months ago." She laughed as Lily shivered further. "You took the paperwork for a deal between Kim's cooperation and Darsh's cooperation, and blamed me," she said with a sly laugh. "Hello, my name is Mariano Dracia Stefania, and I won't take documents from my own firm." As Lily's eyes widened and she began to tremble, she grinned and laughed out loud. "Oh, I could have let this go, but you know, we have this rule that says we don't keep favors, regardless of how much we love or despise the person." She smiled as she said. Lily glanced at her before turning to the screen where Taehyung had just been displayed, her eyes trembling in terror. "Kinda run in the family." When she saw the cops carrying her, she stopped them and remarked with a false empathetic eye scrunching and the worst grin, "After you've finished the task." Pausing for a while, she smirked at the trembling girl. "You see, I'm not going to put you in jail, just for insulting me in front of everyone like you did, because I can't bear the thought of your child passing away. That would be such a hassle. Instead, you should go ahead and wed the man your parents want you to wed because you know how shady it can get." She stated that when the cops began dragging Lily, who was trashing around with tears in her eyes, she had no idea that accusing an innocent person for something she had never done would lead to this. She smirked at him, whose eyes were teary. Maybe he never truly loved her. Maybe all he did was use her to get over his ex until she returned, and he didn't waste any time getting her pregnant. Her eyes again turned teary. "Betray is hell." She shook her head, tears welling up in her eyes and her heart pounding. She needed to leave before she showed him how good she still was. But for whom? For someone who doesn't even care about her and is upset over the fact that his love is again leaving him after breaking someone completely for his selfish needs and heartbreak. She sighed, and her sigh revealed how much she wanted to cry right then and there, but she wouldn't, not in front of him. Not until she broke him like he broke her, moved on from him, and then threw him out of her life like he broke her. Wow, you care for her so much, don't you? She said mockingly, as she has been doing since she brought him here. The physical wounds she caused, which, of course, he didn't realize were not her fault, but the fault of her faulty staff, whom she punished brutally, not because she cared, as she was removing them, or maybe trying to remove them, but because she likes everything perfect. I wish you had ever cared for me too, she mumbled, going out of the room, leaving him standing there looking down with guilt, sadness, and hurt in his eyes, and just like that, she broke his heart once again. He wanted to tell her that his mistress getting married to anyone doesn't really matter for him, but his child does. But then again, she said something that increases his guilt and regret. I'm sorry, he mumbled, looking down. I really am. Please don't hate me too much. This heart still beats for you, he said. Tears again filled his eyes. He was hurt, thinking she thought Lily's betrayal would hurt him, but it didn't. What hurt him was that she thought Lily was more important to him than her. Maybe her betrayal would have hurt him. But then again, did she have any choice? Of course not. He made her think like that. If he was always loyal to Lily and liked and loved her when they were in a relationship, then why did he do that to Yin, the one whom he truly loved and dreamed of spending his entire life with? He wiped his tears and looked at the screen, seeing Lily kissing her now husband. I'm happy for you. I'm sorry for everything. Please just take care of my kid, he mumbled, making his way out. He entered Yn's room to see her on the bed now in her night suit. He probably spent more than enough time there. He looked at her and then went to his place. She didn't glance at him and continued typing on the laptop. I'm sleeping, Yn. He mumbled enough for her to hear, and she asked coldly, aren't you going to tie me up? He asked, knowing he wouldn't run again. He made a firm decision to make it up to her for whatever he did. He should just let her punish him however she wants and also save his family from her rage and revenge. No, she said coldly, making him widen his eyes. Why? Look, I'm not going to run, I promise. Just don't do anything to my family. It's all between us. I did everything to you, not them, please. He mumbled, stuttering. He never knew there would be a time he would be afraid of her who was sweeter than cake, took care of everyone. He was fearing her. He do feel betrayed. How can she hide everything from him? But when she told him she had trust issues, and finally after 4 years of their relationship she was ready to tell him everything. But she found out about how untrustworthy he was and how he never deserved her trust till he changed himself. She told him how she cried every night when he was with some new girl. He couldn't help but feel more guilt. That was the moment he decided he won't run away from her anymore, though he asked her to let him go, which led to all the conversation. She then looked into his eyes with her red, teary ones. That was the first time she cried so hard in her life, and she said, you know I'm so cold, but love does make people crazy, doesn't it? Look at what I did for you, and I'm still crying like a pathetic fool for someone like you, a betrayer, cheater and liar, she said, breaking his heart even more. And she really doesn't let any moment to mock him go now, does she? Oh, how he wishes he could hug her tightly and say how sorry he was and how he wanted to make everything all right. But his hands were tied like always to the couch that she didn't open for 2 weeks after he tried running away. Yet he did mumble a sorry only to get a mocking chuckle in return. She looked at him with her dark eyes, but only he knew that behind those dark eyes was a girl who wanted nothing but love, the love that made her attracted to him. He attracted her in the first place because he gave her the love she craved for years. And now she is even scared of the word love. She swore on everything that she'd never fall for anyone again, not in this life nor in another. That was the last time he saw her before today. Why? She asked in a mocking tone, making him come out of his thoughts. Why won't I hurt them? They also hurt me, right? Just because I was poor, Never mind pretending to be one. She looked at him with a smirk and took steps towards him, whose words were stuck in his throat. What shall I do to them? She asked. Please don't. It's not their fault. I broke you, not them. I should be the only one paying. How about giving them a taste of how it feels when they are poor? She asked with a mocking tone, and his heart sank. Why, Yin, please no, I know you won't. He pleaded, but she only laughed. That dumb YN is dead. Oh, since you asked her so sincerely, lemma tell you YN would have never done that, but 𝘗𝘢𝘳𝘢 will, and right now I'm 𝘗𝘗𝘢. She smirked, seeing him helpless. Wish you would have cared just a small percent of how you care for your family and those little things for me as well. Probably we wouldn't have been this way. She said she was going towards the balcony. Don't worry, my darling. I'm just withdrawing my shares and exposing little cute secrets. She smirked, thinking about how she was going to destroy them with just a few words and calls. They'll be on the road in a week. Well, not their son, though he is lucky to have such a caring girlfriend. She was annoyed at her heart. Now sleep before I do something bad at this moment, she said, going to the balcony and slamming the door shut behind her made him flinch, and as he lay there looking at the ceiling, tears fell from his eyes. He was worried for his family, but could he do something? I'm really sorry, please. I truly care for you. I really do, please forgive me, he mumbled.